and welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with your host, Daniel.
And Daniel.
Daniel, welcome.
How's it going?
Good.
Not doing your, it's been a while spiel, huh?
Nope.
You know what I find weird?
Huh.
I think this is our 4th episode of Board Game Brainstorm, and we've always filmed it in a double episode.
It works. It's convenient.
It really is.
Because we know this isn't one of our longer episodes, and we're comfortable filming these back to back.
And another thing too is like this for sure, and like the other times we've had to film another episode because one of us is traveling. Usually it's you. This time it's me.
Normally it's me. Yes.
Because when we should record this episode, I would be on a plane to Cleveland.
That's right. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be a good time. But yeah, I mean this will be a fun episode. Speaking of that, maybe we'll be. It has been 2 weeks since the last podcast. That's right. Yeah. So this will be an interesting one, and I kind of pushed for this one. And when I was working on my list, I was like, ooh, this is tough.
It really was, honestly, because
Yep.
again, I've played the topic. I don't want to say it just yet. I want to give it a little, let it stew a little bit.
There,
yeah. I've played it, but nowhere near you. You. This was like a lifestyle game for you for a while.
It was.
For me, I was just going about it based on, okay, maybe I have to go with other style of games that don't necessarily do what this does.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens, how it comes
Right.
up. I'll have to justify some of my stuff.
I feel very strongly I'm going to have to hard justify half of my
because
list.
it's really hard to do something like this.
Yes.
Especially for what this game is and
right.
how you're going to get these fills. You know what I mean?
So you turned into a Board Game Brainstorm, which is one of our newer series, where we're going to be taking a single game, a classic style game that's at least 20 years old, and we're going to...
10, not 20.
At least 10. Well, every single one that we've done has been 20.
No. Ticket to Ride's not 20 years yet.
It will be next year.
Pandemic is 2008. It won't be 20 years until 2020.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so we got a little while. So at least 15 years old.
Lately,
so
but the 10 years is our goal because I think that's a good
Right.
setting point because of 2013.
Well, that's considered well known by the general populace, and we give you, based on our normal criteria, 5 recommendations on what parts you like about that game.
Exactly.
But before we do that, Daniel, this is also one of our new segments. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we do outside of gaming. What have you been up to?
Well, nothing yet. But the thing I'm going to talk about, you've talked about it before, traveling. I have 2 pretty decent trips planned here in the next couple months. I got next week, and this is the reason why we're recording this early,
Yep.
and this actually will go up on the audio side as well as the video side on YouTube the week that Monday after I get back, because I'm going Tuesday to Wednesday. I'm flying out to Cleveland. My wife is training in Cleveland for her new company. That's where they send her out to travel to. She actually should be landing in Cleveland pretty soon. She's had a bunch of issues, so I'm hoping I don't have those issues when I fly out next week, because I'm going to drop her off on Monday and come home, get everything ready for me to fly out that Tuesday night. And I'm going to Cleveland, and she's like, oh, but I'm going to be working. What are you going to do today? I'm like, I'm going to be in a new city. I'm going to go explore. I like exploring cities. I already have a board game store I want to go check out. Warzone Gaming in Cleveland. I heard they have like hard to find games in there, so I want to see what they have. I may even go to a Goodwill to buy a suitcase this way I can check it on the way home. This way, if I get something like, if they have Zaya, I'm going to pick that up no matter what, because I've been wanting to find that one. But we're going to go to a Cleveland Garden. You know, I'm a big baseball fan. I've talked about it on our first Board Game Brainstorm. So I'm going to go see a Major League Baseball game. We're going to go see the Guardians, and they're going to be facing the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'm going to enjoy that one. Your wife actually gave us a recommendation for a place to go eat.
I know.
And what's also cool about it is that we'll probably eat there on Wednesday. We're at the ball game because they have one in the stadium.
Which is amazing. I had no idea about that. I am going to tell her when I get home. Illuminous also made a special request. Make sure you look for a copy of Scout.
I'll see if I find one there. I'm also going to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I thought that would be really cool to do. Yeah. Plus,
between the two of us, the real music fan here.
Oh, see,
and
here's the difference. I am a music fan. When it comes to, like, I just like listening to music. I like good music. You
Hold on. No, I'm stopping you right now because the way you implied that for a moment. It was like I'm a music fan because I like to listen to music. However, you no, hold on.
No,
hold on.
No,
now.
no, no. You're a music nerd. You
Yes.
go to a whole nother
I'm a nerd
level.
about anything I'm in. That's what I
But
do.
that's what I'm saying. But you're a music nerd. For me, I just listen to music. I can't tell you what octave range they're going into or how they're. I don't know how you say it's like, oh, they're doing this and then back here. So like A, B, C, and then go drop into another A or something like that. How you talk about.
I don't have perfect pitch, but yes, I have talked about falsetto changes.
Yeah,
yes, and I
that
think
stuff.
that's what's
I'm like, you're talking to someone who doesn't understand it. I just like what I like, and I listen to what
that's
I like.
called a head voice. You know?
Yeah. So when you talk about stuff like that, I don't know. But when I get to go see like the Beatles display or Queen or like musical groups that I really do enjoy, and seeing them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Right.
maybe seeing some of their their instruments, or there's like the whole segment at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame where you could do like a garage band thing.
Yeah.
Pretend you're singing. I'm like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Do not care. I want to go see the Beatles exhibit. I want to go see the Queen exhibit. I want to go see Rolling Stones and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also planning, seeing if I can go see the Christmas Story house, because that's one of my favorite Christmas movies, and they turned the house from that film into a museum. So I'm hoping to go see that one.
Yep.
So I'm really looking forward to this trip and explore and just see Cleveland for what it is. Another thing I'm really excited for. I'm not a beach guy. I don't really care about going to. I've seen the oceans. I've seen the Gulf of Mexico. I've seen the Atlantic Ocean. I've seen the Pacific Ocean. So the ocean's near me. So I'm fine with that. But I actually get to go see a Great Lake. I have never seen one of the 5 Great Lakes. So this is actually really cool for me to go see this one.
That's cool.
Go see that. And then also I'm taking a trip to the Bahamas in October, and also a Disney trip at the same time. So we're flying in on a Friday, checking out Disney for 2 days, and then cruising to the Bahamas. So I'm really looking forward to these trips.
Yeah, cool. So what I've been doing lately, I've been really into celebrating birthdays.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, so
that's why we're recording right now.
This one specific, yes, that is example. Lord of the Chords I've played. That's right. It's about music. It's about teaching music theory.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But I've ranted about that game before. But you're absolutely right, Illuminous. So yeah, I've been celebrating a lot of birthdays lately. This week, every year, comes the same time every year, believe it or not. Where
it really does.
My wife and both of my kids, their birthdays are all within almost 1 week of each other. Yeah,
your son's was last Monday, right?
Yep.
Your wife's was Friday, and your daughter's is tomorrow, which is 8 days apart.
Yes. 8 days apart for 3 birthdays. So
and
right
then they're
now,
in December.
Yeah, and then I'm over in December, so it doesn't matter, right? And this is, just so I'll know, this is late July, currently. But yeah, so yeah, my kids, like, they're now getting to the age. My son just turned 14, and he's already started early college, high school. My daughter is turning 12 tomorrow, and my wife, I won't discuss her age.
You shouldn't.
No. But yeah, not that there's anything wrong with it. I don't care, but I know she would.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, they're all getting a little bit older. My kids specifically are getting older. And they're getting into their teens phase, right? And so one of the big things this year is that we even asked them, we're like, look, we don't know if we're going to have crazy amounts of money. And it's like, but what do you guys want for your
big trip too?
Yeah, we just had a really, really big trip. And we asked them, it's like, what do you guys want for your birthdays? And they were both just kind of like, because like half of the stuff that we've bought for our son over the past few years, he's given to his sister because he's like, I don't know. We bought him like a really fancy smartwatch.
He's a teenager.
He gave that to his sister, right? There's all these things, right? He's a standard teenager. He's just fine being on his phone, hanging out, right?
Yeah.
So I found what I feel is a great solution to that, and that is just simply, events. Like, there's almost never a better thing. You can get food, events, or presents, really, is what you could do. And so giving them that memory is a big
food.
thing. Food's pretty good. Food's pretty good. But no, like, I mean, and I'm finding this because my wife is pretty hard to shop for. She will give me ideas, so it's not too bad.
My wife give me a list, man.
My in-laws are incredibly hard to shop for. My kids are now getting hard to shop for. I'm the only one who makes it easy for anybody. And yet, for some reason, they always go, "Well, I don't know if you have that board game." It's like, "Well, I have a wish list. I'll give you. I'll print it. It's like, here's my list." You know?
Yeah, I do that that same time with my wife.
Yeah.
She's always asking me like, "What do you want for your birthday or for Christmas?" I'm like, "It's the same thing every year.
Yeah.
It's board games and hats."
Right.
She's like, "But I don't know what you have." I'm like, "There's the board games
Yeah,
you can go
that's the
look
list,
at."
yeah.
And I gave you a hat list of all the hats I do own.
Yeah, exactly. Even like I even go the extra mile to give them lists of games that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And then, or we'll like take a trip to like a board game store, and I'll be like, "That's a cool game. That's a cool game. That's a cool game. I own none of those." That's how I got King of Monster Island and Spirit Island lately. You know.
Well, I gave you King of Monster Island.
Well, that's true. But that's because I gave you a list, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's how I got these games, because I explicitly said I want those. So if you can get me those, that'd be cool. And they bought it like that day. It made it super obvious. And you know, it is what it is.
I know the wife did surprise you with her buy for that Christmas though.
Which one?
The one that you put on the list. I think it was the bigger version of her Spirit Island.
Oh, Spirit. Yeah, the base game.
Yeah.
That was pretty surprising because that's not a cheap game.
That's not.
It's really not. But going back to it, so what we did instead was, this was my first time that.
Oh yeah, that was
my
this
kids
weekend,
remember.
right?
Yep. Yesterday we went to Wet and Wild, a local water park, and my kids have only ever been when they were.
When was the last time you've been there?
When I brought my kids, like when my son was about 4, so about 10 years ago. Yeah.
It's changed, hasn't it?
It has. There is some cool new rides. Now, see, here's the thing. I got roller coasters.
Mind you, I can't get on a lot of those rides.
Yeah.
But when we went, like half of them were broke. The wave pool broke down.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. There was only one that was closed from ours, and it was kind of a smaller one, so it wasn't a big deal. It was the Raging Rapids, which is one of my favorites. But I mean,
which one is that one? It was the
one on the tiny one in the back.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
you public pool.
Yeah, and I know.
I get that. Yeah.
Public pools I don't go to anyway. Like I don't like to swim. Like just sitting in water isn't interesting to me.
I'm actually thinking of getting a membership to our public pool. This way I can swim laps.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah, because that's my favorite exercise is swimming laps.
See, I could care less about swimming. Like, I mean, I can't swim. I don't know how.
Well, it's easy on my joints too. So.
That's true. That's a good reason. I'm just like whenever we go like to a hotel, like, and there's a pool there, I'm like, cool, whatever. I'll just sit on the side because it just doesn't interest me at all, right? But water parks are something different. And I've been to like Schlitterbahn.
Schlitterbahn is amazing.
Yeah. And I would gladly go to any others. But so this was a really long time, and we let our kids each invite their own friends, one of each of their friends, and we paid for their tickets, and we let them go too. And I asked them, I was like, hey, so like, when was the last time y'all went? And same thing, like when they were like 4 years old. So nobody had a memory of it, and I got really excited because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna show them how exciting this is. And so I was right there with my 14-year-old son and his best friend. We were all the ones going on all the rides.
Did you do the screamer?
No, actually I didn't. This was the first year I didn't do it, and that's because I really wanted to go on all the others, the new ones. They have like large raft rides that I was really intrigued by.
Oh, those new ones, yeah, right over there by the wave pool, yeah.
Yeah, those were.
They were shut down.
Oh, that's a shame because when we went, so you walk up this long platform.
Mind you, there's a weight limit, so I couldn't get on it anyways.
Right. Well, I mean, no, you'd be able to fit into one.
No.
No, the one that
all of them have weight limit.
Yes.
And I surpassed those weight limits.
I hate to ask you on air.
It's 250 pounds.
The one I went on was 300.
That's not what I said on their website.
Okay, but the one I went on was 300 per person and no more than 500 max per group.
Okay.
And so me and my son and his friend, we.
Okay, was it one of the new ones over by the wave pool?
Yeah, well,
it
was
one of
the raft ones. Yeah, the broken down one, right? No, so there was that one, and that was the final one we went on. Like, we went through one called the Tarantula, which was pretty cool.
Oh, I heard that one's pretty cool. It's over by the
semi-transparent tubes, and there's like bands of color, so it looks like you're going through a rave.
That's the one that's over the bridge, right?
Those are both the family raft ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This one is built next to the Amazon, which is the completely in dark one, which is my personal favorite.
I did like that one growing up.
I like the Amazon quite a bit.
That came out. That was just built the last time I had been to.
Yes.
What is it? The Wet and Wild.
Yeah.
And that was like, I I want to say I was like 18 or 19.
Yeah, it was a long time.
I am 38, gonna be 39.
It was, I think, 2 years old when I went. Like when I first did it, and that was by far my favorite. I love that one.
That one was great. I like that one.
The tarantula is really cool too. It's similar in idea. You're leaving from the same area.
Mm-hmm.
It feels similar, but the colors on it are so vibrant. It's super cool. But this family raft one.
Okay.
This was the crazy part. So there's a 500-pound weight limit.
Okay.
And you go up to this massive platform, and there's 2 different rides. One is a lot bigger than the other on the other side, and the wait was an hour long. It took us a really long time. But one thing that we thought was really cool is that the lifeguards, there was one who was really considerate of other people. She was looking down. She's like, "Hey guys, is the wood getting hot?" Because we live in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "Is the wood getting hot?" And then everyone was like, "No, it's fine." And we were like, "Why is she even asking that?" Like, well, and then I remembered earlier there was like gallons of water that suddenly spilled onto the stairway. And we were like, "That's concerning. What happened? Like, did one of the rafts go overboard? Like, what happened to this water?" And then now it makes sense because they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just like throwing buckets of water on people, like making them feel good." It's like that's cool.
Well, it does help that when we're at like 106, 107 degrees. Right. Yeah, no, it would be very helpful.
And so when we went on this raft, it was me and the 3 of us. It was a mild or a moderate thrill is what it was rated.
Yeah. Multiple
times we were vertical. That was terrifying. I would see like my son like barely clinging on, like ah! Like I mean, like I saw part of that raft lift above the edge of the water thing, and we're like 50 feet in the air. This was terrifying.
You know what I miss?
It was so good.
You know what I miss about Wet n Wild? When they used to let you drink the little river.
Yeah, they don't do that no more. In fact, we got a cabana next to the river, and
there was a lot of people getting
said at least 3 people got taken out.
Okay, now that you went to Wet n Wild, right?
Yes.
I did tell you about this when I went.
Uh-huh.
How different are the bathing suits compared to when we were going as we were younger?
Well, I mean, back in the day, I'm pretty sure women had to wear full burqas, didn't they? Like,
no.
Like, we're not that.
What I'm saying is like when you're like the little teenager, you go to see the Screamer because that's the closest you get to see anything. When I was there, I was like, good Lord, there's kids here.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna be honest.
It wasn't just a woman.
I could have been like a standard guy and like I was really like, okay, I want to go that ride. Come on,
No, I don't disagree with you.
I'm not trying to defend myself.
I couldn't go on a lot of rides, so I did a lot of the Lazy River. My favorite ride, and it's funny, my favorite ride is still there, and I can still do that one. I like doing that one. And it's the volcano drop over where the kiddie area is.
Yep, that one is so fun.
I love that one.
Yeah, it's a water slide that goes down and stops halfway. You fall the rest
into a 12-foot pool. I love that ride.
That thing's hilarious.
But anyways, I was sitting there and I was like, wow, it's really different from the last time I was here because I'm like, they wouldn't have allowed these kind of bathing suits here. No. And not just the women, the men, some of the bathing suits they were wearing. I saw Speedos there. I'm like, Grandpa, you need to put some shorts on or something.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
I can see what religion you are.
Oh, that's awful. And for the rest of the birthdays, we've just been going out to dinner with my family, and then that's where we talked about this briefly on the previous episode. I took my wife out to a dinner and a movie, and that's all she wanted. She was like, I don't need gifts. I just want to spend time.
The main thing I only ever really want. My wife always asks me if I want gifts and stuff like that, for she can send ideas to other people. But for me, my birthday, what I like to do is just sit there and play board games, hang out with people, have a nice meal. I may even cook my own dinner. I'll go smoke a brisket outside. Yeah, and just. As long as I can have people over and play board games.
That's right.
Which is interesting because this is going to be the first birthday for myself where I'm actually not going to have my wife here. She's going to be traveling.
That's going to be awkward.
It's going to be weird. But luckily enough, it falls on a Tuesday, so I'll at least get recording done as well.
That'll be such a sad birthday party.
Honestly, I don't care. And then I think our mutual friend Gamehead Geek is going to come over and play board games because that Tuesday, since his kids are in school, he can come over and play games on Tuesdays.
That's true. Cool. Yeah, but that's what I've been doing lately, outside of gaming.
Went Wild is fun. I remember growing up as a kid, I really did enjoy it. And as I got older, I'm like, I can't do half the stuff, really.
I'm curious to see what my kids are going to be like 10 years from now. If they're
Yeah.
going to be that excited for it. But I think they will. They absolutely adored it.
I'm glad they enjoyed it. I really did. The cabanas are nice though, right?
They're surprisingly good.
They're
They're not
especially
bad at all.
when it's like ridiculously hot. That shade is so helpful.
Although my mutual friend did point out something hilarious because we got some snow cones and I was like, "Hey, let me show you that family ride that we went on," and he was like pointing out, he was like, "Think about this for a minute. We're in the middle of a dry, arid, hot desert with gallons of water surrounding us for fun, and we're eating snow cones." You just love technology now. Like, just the contrast of everything that we're just doing at that moment in life. Hilarious.
That's true, but Wet n Wild has been around for a while. So
True.
Wet n Wild has been around since before I was a kid. 'Cause
True.
I remember when I first went, they didn't even have all that stuff over there by the wave pool. It was just like the little section on the left. The thing is, they took out one of the kid things.
Uh-huh.
The whale's gone.
Yep.
I was like, where'd the whale go?
I know, the whale was a classic. Too many kids falling off and smacking their heads, I guess. I don't know.
The little water slide. But let's get into the actual brainstorm.
All right.
Did we ever say what the game is?
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. We saved it to build up excitement. Today, we're going to be breaking down Magic the Gathering.
This one was rough because I knew it was going to be rough.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, starving kids in Africa.
Oh, shit.
Thanks a lot, Luminous.
You just made me feel real bad about myself. My goodness. So we're gonna take a deep dive into Magic the Gathering, one of our board game
Making us feel bad
brainstorms.
talking about our public water parks, and we have a whole podcast dedicated to toys, and he's like throwing out starving kids in Africa over here, man.
Bruh. Yeah, no, we're...
All right, show's over.
All right, we're retired. It's over again. No, we love you. Thank you for joining us. We're going to talk about Magic the Gathering, which is one of the most well-known card games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. Other than like generic poker.
Honestly, I don't
card
think
games?
any other hobby game style card game
No.
is bigger than this. In fact,
No,
I
really
will
don't
even
think
say
so either.
some of the classic card games that you can play is not bigger than Magic
Right.
the Gathering.
Yeah. Definitely not. I mean, like Gin Rummy, probably fewer people know Gin Rummy now than Magic the
Or
Gathering.
what is the one you always talk about? Pepper?
Cribbage. Oh, Pepper, yeah. A lot of people.
No,
don't.
no, no. I know Cribbage is really still popular. It's
Well, yeah, it's popular, but I'd be like, nobody
like
knows
if I
Pepper.
say Cribbage to someone who's, let's just say under 30, they'll probably be like, "What?"
Huh?
But if
Yeah.
I say Magic the Gathering to someone who's under 30, they'll be like,
Everyone will be like, yeah,
okay,
sure,
I know
yeah."
that one, yeah."
It's
nerd game.
confusing if you say it's somebody over 30. And they'll be like, what's... Like, no, I've never played Magic. I'm too busy playing cribbage.
Magic the Gathering's 30 years old.
I know.
So,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
people
what I'm
know
saying.
it. Because,
People know it.
well,
Sure.
no, that's what I'm saying. Because, like, you're saying over
in the
30.
zeitgeist,
I'm
yeah.
like, I know people in their 40s that played Magic the
Sure,
Gathering.
yeah. I knew 40 people in the 40s when I was only in the teens, you know.
Yeah.
Plenty of people. So we're going to break down, or not break down, we're going to take a brainstorm into this,
Mhm.
and we're going to give you recommendations based on our criteria that we use for our top 8 debates.
Ease of play, replay value, meaningful choice, game immersion, and art and production. We're giving you the recommendations that we think fit those categories that match Magic the Gathering in a sense.
Yeah, and the reason I really wanted to push this one is because we've had this discussion before. There's a lot of people who played Magic or were interested in playing Magic and left the hobby because of like maybe a bad group, because of the meta,
Yeah.
because of the concept,
The
like
cost.
whether it be the cost, just the sheer, like just maybe some bad players,
Mhm.
maybe the meta of it, like they don't like the business model. And we wanted to give you ideas for games that you can play Magic another way, and based on which parts you like about Magic, you can go to those and check those out.
All right, I'm calling it now. I think there's going to be one crossover.
One crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I think there's going to be one. So, as always, we start with ease of play. He's going to flip the coin of doom, and we're going to get going.
That's right. So we're going to start on ease of play, and you'll be starting us off.
Starting with me, this is the one I think is going to be the crossover. Because it's also designed by
Real
Richard,
quick, do you think it's going to be a crossover in the same category
or just in general.
In general, okay, cool.
I don't know if it's going to be in Ease of Play, but I think it's going to be a crossover in general because it's also a game designed by Richard Garfield. It deals with all the things people have said about Magic the Gathering that you just mentioned, like the meta, the cost, the whatever, the community.
Yep.
And this one's Keyforge. It's made by the same designer. It has a lot of the same concepts as Magic the Gathering. You're putting out cards. You're kind of fighting the other player. You're trying to get the, what is it, Aether?
Yeah, Aether.
And if you're familiar...
Or Amber.
Amber, yeah. If you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, this is going to be one of the easiest games for you to pick up on this list because the only difference really big on this one is you're not building the deck. You have a pre-built deck. You buy a deck, you learn that deck, you play that deck. You can take that deck to any tournament until it ascends.
Right.
The only problem about it is now it's independently supported, so right. I do want to try some of the new stuff with it. But it's such a fun game. In fact, I prefer this over Magic the Gathering for that simple because I just like to buy a deck and I want to see how they play. I really could care less about the tournament actions and stuff like that. Now, I heard like Magic the Gathering, especially the new Lord of the Rings expansion, they went back to like the starter deck sets where you have 60 cards and you can just play against another player.
Right.
Keyforge has that same model where you can just buy a 2-player deck and it gives you 4 decks. One to learn the game and the other to have your deck to start playing. So I really, really do enjoy Keyforge a lot, and I think that it is honestly the simplest game on my list if you're comparing it to Magic the Gathering. And there's simpler games just because of the style of the way they play, but if it's a 1-to-1 ratio, I think Keyforge is the ease of play.
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I get why you think it's going to be a crossover. With that being said, my ease of play, I picked a game that was specifically like mathematically and computationally, it has been proven that Magic the Gathering is the most complicated game ever, because of all the different rules and all the different like card combinations, all the different systems, all the different like keywords, whatever. With that being said, I was like, how can people understand it if it's the most complicated game ever? And I remember back when I was playing, and when you first learn how to play, you learn the general concept, the rule that everyone goes with. You learn how to tap the cards, you learn how to play mana, you learn how to draw the cards, and you understand how to cast things and what types of cards can be played when and for what reason.
Are you doing Pokemon?
No.
Okay.
What I'm saying though is that you don't need to know every keyword, because once you know the core system, then as you play and as you experience it more and more later on, it would be impossible to learn everything all at once. It would just simply be you need to just keep going and learn to play from there. So I found a game that I feel like it's somewhat complicated on the fact that everyone else is totally different and you have your own reference sheet, but you're playing the same core game, but you're each playing it in a different approach. I actually chose Merchant's Cove for this, for that reason.
Oh.
Because, yeah,
that's
very different.
Interesting. Because it's difficult.
Right. And like I said, it's not an easy game to learn, but it's a good basis. Well, for ease of play, like neither of those are easy games to learn. But once you understand the core system, then all you have to do is worry about just how you play differently. Because I might be playing like, say, like a poison deck, you know, in Magic the Gathering. If I'm playing a poison deck, only I really need to know how poison works. And if I'm playing against an opponent, if they don't understand it, I can literally just explain how poison works to them.
Yeah.
Illuminous, let me reply real quick to Illuminous' comments. Netrunner, I love Netrunner. I think it's awesome. I couldn't agree more. Ashes, yes, it was another good one. I feel like they took the Magic system and then fixed a lot of problems with it.
No.
It is a Magic butt game, absolutely.
He can't stand Magic butt games.
I normally don't, yeah. I really don't. Keyforge I do like, but Netrunner is awesome. I do want to try Mindbug, and I love Seasons, although I can see the comparison because there's a lot of really interesting card play. But that's why I went with that. Is like I said, once you understand the core base of the system, in order to play the different specifics of what makes it so complicated, you have to just take that at a time.
I'm just saying we totally went this at different approaches.
Yes, we did.
When I do ease of play, I do something that's easier or equivalent to Magic the Gathering. Same reason what I do with Magic Art and Production. I take something that's equivalent or better in this case.
See, I always try to go as close
I'm
as
gonna
possible.
go complicated.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't go into Magic going, okay, well, I like it because of how complicated it is. Like, if you like it because of how complicated it is,
it's
lack
not
of easy to play.
It's not easy to play. That's what
Right.
I'm saying. But I went along the same level. I want something that is as close to Magic or easier because it's going to get more people to
Right.
play it.
Yeah, I just think that like once
You
you know
went
that core
with,
system,
this is Magic the Gathering, and here's a board game version of the complication.
yeah, that's because I think those are equivalent. If you like how much depth because of how complicated Magic can get, knowing how different everything is, that's my
I will tell
reasoning.
you, for a fact, not a single one of these are board games. They're all card games.
Oh, we'll find out what mine do.
All right, moving on to replay value.
Replay value.
Yeah, to me again.
Yep.
And yes, Keyforge, you can't build your deck. That's why I like it.
We're gonna talk. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a bit.
So replay value. I'm figuring this is where your Keyforge is going to be. For me, I went and picked a deck building game. One of my favorite deck building games when it comes to the replay value, because I wanted something that's going to have a lot of stuff to it, just like Magic the Gathering, because you're having all these different core boxes almost every year now or twice a year coming out. So I wanted something that has as many expansions. I also want something that is pretty much a head-to-head battler. This one can go from 2 to 4 compared to Magic the Gathering. It's mainly 2, but you can play like Commander and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then both are pretty much the same time frame. And in fact, I just recently played this game because my wife came in here. Well, we were supposed to go do some stuff, and she's like, "I've never played that one. You talk about this one a lot." And I'm like, "All right, well, we got to remedy that." And so I showed it to her. You're close. It's Ascension. And for me, it almost matches the artwork to Magic the Gathering in a sense with some of the things. And 2, pick your poison. So if you like a certain type of command or deck style that they're doing, because they like the Planewalkers, and then they have all this other different stuff that just recently came out. The Magic the Gathering stuff. See, I haven't played Shards of Infinity. I don't know if it's better from what I've seen of it, just because how much I love Ascension, how simple Ascension is.
It's more or less the same.
No,
game.
I did get.
It's by the same designer.
I did get the Kickstarter for I Get Everything in a box, but it gives you that head-to-head battling. I pick your poison. Each expansion does something a little different. If you just want to do the pure and simple one, get the 10th anniversary edition. Don't get the first edition because, oh god, that one's hideous. the art on that one is bad.
Yeah.
Me personally, I prefer the Dawn of Champions because it gives you something to work for. Because if this is your champion, this is who you're going to be. So, say I'm like the core, who's the Makana champion, then I want to work on getting Makana cards and constructs and stuff like that because you're going to get the points to get that specific card into your deck.
Oh.
So it gives you stuff to actually build to. And so, for like I said, it hits almost on every single point when it comes to the replay value. The expansions, there's, I want to say like 10 sets of Ascension now. Both are really good head-to-head battlers.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one, you're taking other way person's life points. This one, you're just getting victory points. You're not really hitting the other player, but you're basically taking as many victory points as you can out of the pool.
Yeah.
And then also, they're both relative. A 2-player game of Ascension takes about as long as a 2-player game of Magic the Gathering if you're both on the same level.
Right. Okay. No, I don't disagree with your reasoning behind that. I went with a similar idea with replayability. Is that I really do think deck builders allude to it really well. Except I went with the biggest deck builder there is with thousands of cards.
I knew Dominion was going to be on
Yeah,
the list.
I mean it has to be. It really is because I feel like part of Magic is that you have so many constant combinations of cards put together. There's thousands and thousands of combinations, and your replayability is how can you take each card differently every time you play it. Well, Dominion does exactly that and includes it into the base game or into the game itself. Like part of that double value. I mean, I know this category isn't necessarily like how does the game feel in comparison, but there's thousands and thousands of cards to choose from with Dominion. You only play with 10 at a time, but some have different ways that you build the deck. And that, I feel, is really invaluable to it. What are we proving here?
I'm just trying to say how much I have. I have 6 of the base games and one expansion. So I was just trying to say, like, I was telling him I have quite a bit of it, and I still don't have everything.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, for replay value, that is 100% Dominion.
I figured Dominion was going to be on this list. I didn't know if it was going to be here. I thought this was where Keyforge was going to be, or on your meaningful choice part of it. But I knew Dominion was going to be on here.
Yeah, well, we're on replay value. Yeah.
I know, but I'm saying I thought it was going to be on this section or on the meaningful choice.
We'll see.
All right, moving on to meaningful choice.
Actually, can we go to pieces and components?
All right, we can go to art.
Let's just skip to that one because let's be real.
Art and production.
That's going to be one of our less exciting ones. Art
I
and
don't know.
production.
I like mine.
Yeah, I mean, I like mine too. Art and production. I'll start off at my request, apparently. So my pick is this is a 2-player head-to-head battle game with very decent art. The cards really do allude to the characters that you're playing out in front of you. This is a post-apocalyptic game.
Radlands.
Yep, that includes enough cards for 2 players, as in a deck. You have a couple tokens and an optional, nifty and helpful, but optional playmat that you can buy, which is 100% what Magic would be. I thought about some of the other games that have counters, like life counters and stuff. Like, because Magic is really about like some tokens and just cards. That's really the big thing. And yeah, like Radlands has their own custom sleeves. They have playmats. They have big boxes. So I was like, it kind of goes without saying that 100% like pieces and components to just a collectible card game. It's got to go Radlands, in my opinion. That's it.
All right. So for my art and production, I went with a co-op card game. And this is not the only one you're going to see of this style, but I went with Marvel Champions as my pick for collectible card game, living card game series. You buy a deck, you play the deck because it's the deck of a superhero or something like that, or you buy the base games. Again, phenomenal art, and my thing was like equal to or better. That's how I did the art and production. And this is right up there with some of the newer stuff. Like, I saw some of the Lord of the Rings cards because I watched the Dice Tower aspect of it. Yeah. That's some of the best art I've seen in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. Oh, the lands alone are it's just map cutouts of
it's
different
so
parts of the land.
good.
It's so cool.
But so like I went with Marvel Champions. It has some decent components. It's some cardboard shits if you want. It's great components that actually fit to the comic style. Because you got like the whiffs and the bams, or not the whiffs, but the kablows, I think is what they're called, or something like that. And then you put the tokens on for like the health or you're stunned and stuff like that. So it has a lot of that. Again, one of our big things is about graphic design, and they follow the same rules as Magic the Gathering. They put that text at the bottom that is really easily distinct, that you understand how that card works once you read it. Does a great job. So for me, this is Marvel Champions. This is an LCG from Fantasy Flight. Really well done.
Cool. And I agree with Luminous. FRG needs to reprint all their Lord of the Rings stuff, probably. In a box set like Arkham, right?
I get that. My only thing is about the reason why I like Marvel Champions and Arkham is because the co-op aspect of them. Because Lord of the Rings just doesn't feel right when it's head-to-head.
Yeah. All right, meaningful choice. You ready?
Meaningful choice. Starting you.
Okay. So hear me out on this one. You're gonna have to hear me out.
Trust me, my meaningful choice is it's not really a stretch, but yeah.
Yeah. I hearken back to you said that this used to be a lifestyle game for me. That's very much true. Before I got into board games, I definitely played Magic. And I played it for a long time. I was in the lifestyles, playing in tournaments, and I remember very distinctly, like, you have your deck, you would see that as like, this is, if I'm going into a tournament and I'm ready to compete against these guys, this is my go-to cards. These are what I'm gonna go. This is my game plan of what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, you have a sideboard of 15 cards, and that's what you do for worst case scenarios. That's what you do to plan effectively. Those are the 15 cards that you're gonna use in case you need to, in case you play against certain people or certain situations come up. And then I remember, like, you'd go into that, you'd be like, all right, well, this guy has a brand new deck. I don't know what I'm getting into. I'm gonna have to experience this. But then everything you play from that, you learn from that knowledge. You go home, you rebuild your deck to deal with the new additional problem that you had to do. This was a multi-week process. So I went with another game where your decisions apply over multiple games. I went with Pandemic Legacy.
I was gonna say it's gonna be frickin' Legacy.
It's Pandemic Legacy. No, and think about that, right? Like,
you know what, if it is better? I know you haven't played it enough. It's Gloomhaven, because you go every time you level up, you rebuild your deck to get better powers, or maybe you notice something when you lose on this one. You want to take something out and put something back in.
The more, if I had played Gloomhaven more, I probably would have. I think you're right on that. But I wanted that idea. It's like,
no, I get it.
Like that whole, like, less about Magic as the game itself, but more as like the multi-week, like those meaningful choices. Those have an impact on every time you play that game. You're mathing it out. You're thinking, okay, am I going to play this because I want to get this combination, or am I going to build my deck to deal with Mr. Jerry over here that shows up every week with the same cards? And am I tired of like this ridiculous combo? Am I trying to find ways to defend against it? Like, this is a multi-week thing, and in order to be competitive in that meaningful choice, your choices aren't akin to just the game itself. Your choices will affect outside of the game as well.
Okay.
And that, I feel, Legacy definitely invokes that.
Desperately, huh?
Desperately invokes that, yeah. Well, sometimes
Pandemic Legacy. All right, which season?
Season 1.
Okay.
Well, any of the seasons really, but season 1. Yeah.
All right, so the one I'm picking here, and this is why I was like, I'm not going to give him too much grief about it.
Yep.
This is another deck builder.
I just said what? Bonanza.
This is another deck builder that actually gives you a lot of meaningful choice, and it gives you a lot of the aspect of the head-to-head battler, as I was talking about with Ascension, and this is because of the choices you have to make when you're doing the deck building aspect of it. You have to choose to go after your opponent, you have to choose to go after some of his cards in the line, and you have to go, or you got to buy cards for yourself to make yourself better. And this is Star Wars the Deck Builder. Okay. It's a 2-player only game. You can play 4, don't recommend it. But you help yourself, or you attack the other player, or destroy the cards in the line. Those are your choices, and you have to be smart how you do it. Because if somebody is playing the dark side aspect of it, they're going to be better right out the gate. But if the light side or the Rebel Alliance is getting the cards that work with each other and do something with each other, they're going to get more and more and more powerful as you go along. And so that's what happened to me. I had 2 planets to 1 against our mutual friend, or 2 none actually, and he came back and took all 3 of my planets.
Yeah.
So, and it's because you have to make those choices. It's like, should I kill this thing in the line because I know it's going to work with something you have over there, or do I take this thing because it's going to give me a lot of attack power to go after your planets or your cruisers or your other stuff? It gives you a lot of choices that you have to be smart about. You have to play smart with what you draw. That's exactly what I was just saying. I put myself a note, and I'm already in that process, because I really could use that card. It's very powerful, but if I don't start attacking the stuff that's in his line there, and they start drawing with each other, like there was one that was like, I think it was Endor Cassian, who, if you have another certain character in your deck, then he gets more attack power. That's when he starts hitting my cruisers, and then because of other stuff that are in there, he can start hitting my planet, and then takes that planet, and then he takes the other planet, and it's like all of a sudden we're at a 2-2 game just because after a few card draws because of some of the stuff he gets in his line. So I love the intrigue of the way this game works, because it does give you so much choice about how you gotta build your deck in a sense like you do, like you were talking about when you're doing Magic the Gathering. The only difference is I'm building the deck as we're playing compared to going away, rebuilding your deck, and coming back. So it changes. I thought this was. I was very hesitant about getting into this game. I don't play a lot of two-player games, and so this was really hard for me to get by and get to the table. However, it is just it shines. I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I played it. I do really enjoy what it does.
Absolutely. Cool. And our last one, real quick, Luminous, in Magic the Gathering compare. I know, I feel a little judged right now. Robot Solo variant for which game?
I think it's for the Star Wars one.
Oh, Star Wars one. Yeah, Star Wars deck building is.
It's really good.
Really good.
I've never played Mage Wars Arena or and I've only played Summoner Wars slightly.
Yeah, I've played quite a bit of Summoner Wars. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I could equate Summoner's War closer to Stratego than I do Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's basically like Magic with a board. I mean, it's kind of what it is. All right, and our last one, game immersion. Here we go. I'll start us off. So, my game immersion, Magic is thematically what you're doing is you are two head-to-head wizards casting spells, trying to destroy the other wizard effectively, right?
Yeah.
I wanted a game that felt like that, felt like this epic battle between two distinctly different characters, and the way you cast your spells is going to be different than each other. So I was like, I wanted one with a big variety, a big cast of characters you could choose from, but gives you that head-to-head combat feel.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with Magic the Gathering Yahtzee, Dice Throne. I had to. Magic the Gathering Yahtzee, or Dice Throne, as it's commonly referred to. No, it feels that. It's basically Magic with dice.
Honestly, Dice Throne is Battle Yahtzee. Well, we play Battle
kind of
Yahtzee.
Is. Yeah, it kind of is, but it's really good. Your deck, you have the spells that you can use off each other. You have the resources that you can do. Each of your characters are played... you're a planeswalker. Sorry, you're a planeswalker. You're a wizard. You're a wizard, Harry. Let's be real. I spent many years as one of those. But yeah, I mean, Dice Throne just gives you that feel, gives you that sense that you're in this epic battle between two very distinct characters, and you're throwing down with what you can do. You're upgrading your characters. You're getting better abilities, better combinations, building it up to the focal point of just destroying them.
And the same thing with way Magic Gathering is adding stuff like Lord of the Rings. There's a license on the game or
Marvel
Dice Throne.
Yeah. Now and on top of that, like Magic the Gathering.
I haven't played HeroScape, that's why.
Yeah. I haven't done HeroScape, but I have played Arena of the Planeswalkers. Yeah, but it would do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just felt like that is 100% that. So if you notice, no Keyforge. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I thought if there was going to be one crossover, it would be that one.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that one.
All right, so my last game here, of course, in game immersion, it's another co-op card game. I had to put it on this list, especially for this part, because you really do feel like you're immersive in there, and you can build your decks as well, based on what you're doing. And this is Arkham Horror Living Card Game. It's one of the criterias for us in game immersion. Is it fun to lose? I love I have no problem losing in this game, because then it's like, okay, now I got to go back to see what I need to put in this deck, or how that draw comes up, or what could I done differently, that sort of stuff. I like the fact that it's in a co-op aspect of it, so you have to work together, so there is that table talk. You're like, okay, I'm really good at investigating, so I should go here. This way we could try to get that clue, because we need that clue to turn this page, to keep this thing going. Mm-hmm. And also, I've played this both solo and as a two-player game. There is some standout moments in there, especially when you're like, I'm going to play this card, and this is going to boost it, and this is going to help. And now I passed this check, that then I have to draw the Mythos phase, and like, oh no, this is not the thing we needed to pull out of the bag. It hits a lot of the stuff that you were saying about like the game immersion. Yeah. And by our criteria, I thoroughly enjoy Arkham Horror LCG. And God, I could have put this in the replay value too, just because there's so many of the expansions now. So I think they're like on their 4th or 5th set now. And like he mentioned it earlier, how they're doing it, where they're making it in one big box. I like how, because originally when you wanted a cycle, it was just individual packs that you had to wait that came out. And now you get the cycle, which is all the villains, and if you have one character box, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
but you can also buy the characters for that cycle in their own individual expansions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really fun how they're doing this. So I'm really, really enjoying it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, that's it for our episode. So if you like Magic the Gathering or thought about getting into it, or maybe you're just outside of it and wanted to dabble into games that were similar, give you a similar feel, we hope that those 10 recommendations will give you that idea.
Mm-hmm.
We know that we're filming this a little bit early, so if you're tuning in for our live episodes, like our friends So Very Wrong, thanks for joining us, Illuminous, and anybody else who joined us today, please hang out with us at twitch.tv/everydayboardgames, and make sure you subscribe so you know when we go on live.
As well as you can find all video re-uploads on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@everydayboardgamespodcast. And if you like what we do, there are 3 things you can do to help us grow on that platform. Subscribe if you're not, like the video, and comment down below and tell us your thoughts on the subject. As well as all audio versions can be found on most podcast platforms under Everyday Board Games Podcast. This includes Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, and Podbean.
And if you want to ever email us directly, whether it's to say hi, enter in a future contest, or give us ideas on upcoming episodes, email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com.
And a quick note for those contests. Pay attention, because the next episode we will be starting our next contest.
Ooh, and it'll be in context, too. All right, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Daniel.
And I've been your host, Daniel.
And we want to thank you for listening to Everyday Board Games.
Remember, every day is a good day for board gaming.